Good morning, Gardenia. Welcome to Adam versus the Man on this beautiful, sunny, snowy Thursday from here in the Garden of Freedom near Ashfork, Arizona. It is a beautiful day here. The snow is melting, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the vaccine shots are flowing. Wait, no, shit, that wasn't part of the good news. Yeah, it's a scary time right now. It's a scary time. I'm talking to my family about this, and I have people in my family. I know this is shocking. It would be very disappointing to me. There are members of my family who are not yet libertarian. Most of them are smart enough to at least not trust the government. But even like right now, oh man, everybody wants to trust the government. It's nice. It's safe. It's just trust the government. Go back to sleep. And I like to use the herd analogy a lot. That what we do as activists, as libertarians especially, is stepping out of the herd. And you can make the case that humans are communal animals, that we are designed to live in societies and tribes and then have communities. Absolutely. But when we become a herd of cattle, effectively ranched by the superclass, controlled, exploited, led to the slaughter if necessary. It's not that they don't protect us. Oh, no. Governments protect their citizens like a rancher protects his cattle, certainly. All for the purpose of eventually leading the cows to the slaughter. And right now, there's the trust of government. And I mean, we got some stories about this. By the way, today, big international block. If you don't care about the world outside of America, tune out now. That's not important. No, there's a sad trend in the United States, despite us having the worst pandemic response in the world. I think one of the stories we got today is that America is 94 out of 98. Derp to derp, more guns. Oh, yeah, thanks. All right. Hey, Matt Fisher weighing in. What's up, Adam? Thank you to everybody who joins us. We are back on our main YouTube channel. Dennis Jeffrey writes, hold the line, Adam. And it feels like that sometimes in the face of all this COVIDiocy, that you just have to hold on to the truth. Know your truth. Don't let them gaslight you. When the whole herd is being gaslighted and being let off a cliff. Think about like the Native Americans. How they used to do with buffalo. They set up fencing and then herd the buffalo to go off the cliff. They could kill all the buffalo they needed without firing a shot. And if you were in that herd of buffalo being shepherded off the cliff, and you saw one of the buffalo was going out on his own, maybe going around the fence instead of going through the fences, that might disturb you because you get comfort from being a part of the herd. And I understand that what I do and what we do, now revealed as you can see our smiles when so many others are hidden, it is going to bother those human beings who have been successfully turned into pack animals. Those who have been conditioned to follow the herd will always be threatened by those of us who do not. But I don't think humans were meant to be herded like cattle. And even if you want to say that at some level we were, it is those of us who leave the herd who are necessary for finding new pastures, necessary for the survival and evolution and continued progress of the herd. Eventually, if you sit still long enough, you will die. If you stay in the same paradigm long enough, it will become obsolete and irrelevant. And as we see today, the paradigm of trusting government, especially with your health, while in the middle of this new surge of statism, it is waning. The grip of the ranchers on the herd is failing. So thank you for joining us and being a part of Adam versus the Man as we step away from the herd and perhaps succeed in leading humanity to a better way. That's right. Today is January 28th, 2021. It is Thursday. Welcome to the show. We are very excited to have CJ back in studio Today, we are going to do a contest for winning a membership in the Producers Club. That's right. Hey, and we got a hello from the United Kingdom there. That's great. For our international show, we got a couple stories from across the pond. England is wet here. Thank you, Colette. Yeah, it's wet, covered in snow here. Ken Scott, Biden, love you. Biden loves you. Man, that reminds me of like that South Park episode about government where Butters goes to the DMV and creates the Church of Statism. He didn't call it Church of Government. Government knows if you are good and bad. Yes, trust your government. So today you can win membership in the Producers Club with the best comment. We've got co-producer Mercedes Amortowski filling in for Comment Jim Freedom as co-host today. On your comments, back on the main YouTube channel with 0 strikes as of now. And I guess I should point this out. We really should play this at the beginning of the show, CJ. Nothing portrayed in this podcast, in this production, is intended to be anything but parody. It is certainly not medical or legal advice, especially as we're talking about COVID. Do I have to say that when my advice is, hey, don't trust government to put strange experimental shit in your body when you don't have to? Hey, yeah. Yeah, a lot of debates about the virus going on today and the vaccine. We're not going to get into that. We covered COVID yesterday. But there, believe it or not, it's relevant across the pond as well. And oh, by the way, Yvonne Taylor, it's my 35th wedding anniversary today, and I've just had a tooth extracted. That's not how you're supposed to celebrate wedding anniversaries. But for the vaccine, everybody now, though, the vaccine is safe. It only causes, side effects in so many people, and the deaths are really insignificant. So the vaccine is totally safe. Why are you using my arguments about the virus itself, about the vaccine? Because if that makes the vaccine safe, wouldn't that mean that the virus is safe? And that the lockdowns and shutdowns are totally unnecessary? Oh, well, gee, I've been saying that for, oh my gosh, it feels like a year now. And I think we're coming up on the, are we there yet? Is it the 1 year? We really need to have a big party, big hashtag storm the internet, let people know, because this is the 1 year anniversary of 2 weeks to flatten the curve is almost upon us. Get ready. This might be a major historical event. Jakey, Jason, don't be a simp. It's a dude. Okay. I can't follow. There's a whole other conversation going on already. Bill Gates loves you, man. Hey, yeah, you know how Windows is so user-friendly and has never had any viruses and has been a really great operating system that never causes any frustration among people who use Windows? That's why we should totally trust Bill Gates with global health policy decisions. Yeah. And just, again, like it's really tough to look at a world when I see that there are so many untrustworthy people who have earned distrust, people in government, people in big pharma, people like Bill Gates, people who have lied, misled repeatedly to profit themselves, now successfully putting themselves up as authorities and getting people to follow them. Whew. This isn't like even learning from history. This is like just, hey, remember what happened yesterday, last week, last year? And all these, I can say fuckers. I guess fuckers, funny, what YouTube censors, they're past censoring words. They're on to censoring ideas now. TNT Stormy always looks angry. You know what I mean? I look at, do I look angry to you? All right. No, a big part of what we do with Adam versus the Man, for those of you who might be new, is taking what is out in the mainstream media, making sure that we do our research, we look at counter narratives, and then we don't do we don't do what the mainstream media does of the 24-hour news cycle. Be afraid of this, be afraid of this, be afraid of this, be angry about this, be upset about this, call to cancel this. Like, no, step back and just, even like I think an important part of my worldview is based not on what the media is telling me today, but an understanding of human history, not from government textbooks. Shocking, right? But when you look at the overall arc of human history, it's much easier to fit the fear-mongering of the mainstream into the bigger picture. And a lot of what we do, like I said with Adam versus the Man, is combine stories into blocks. I gotta say, as a journalist, as a presenter, I'm a fan of John Oliver's style. I mean, in a way, we do interviews and we do like 2 or 3 John Oliver style blocks every show if we can fit them in. I tend to be a little bit more long-winded and less scripted. Ken Scott watching since back to the dancing days, like I know you well. Shotgun Weddings in DC, LAMAO. That's a band, isn't it? Jakey, the Secret Police is online and it's software. All right, so we're looking for a couple things today from the audience. Best comment could win membership in the Producers Club. If you don't know what the Producers Club is, check out AdamVersusTheMan.com. You can find us on Patreon through there, patreon.com/AdamVersusTheMan. You can donate whatever you want, of course, $5 a month, $1 a month, $50 a month, gold-plated babies. You can mail us drugs, whatever it is, but $10 a month, that's where the sweet spot is. That's where it's at. You can join the Producers Club and you get added to our Telegram group. I am like, you want to talk to me directly during the show? This is how I talk to my producers during the show. And we only have 30. This is an elite group, 30 active members. Now we have more people who give us money, not a lot, but the ABTM Producers Club Telegram chat. Oh, by the way, according to the Telegram chat, it's Brad Brown's birthday. Happy birthday, Brad, to our Producer Club member, Brad Brown. And he's one of our more active members. And this is how we do the prep for the show. By the way, we're about to do a Telegram broadcast channel, although we're about to tomorrow we got a big block as it's the Cutting Edge of Good News Friday. But we have a plan to launch a Telegram broadcast chat so that anybody can subscribe, because it looks like for everybody who's being shut out of the mainstream right now, like all you domestic terrorists and right-wing extremists and Trump supporters and conservatives, you're all half the population is terrorists now. That's less than half, a lot less, fortunately. But this shift to alternative sources away from social media, like if you get censored so much on YouTube as we have and Facebook, I don't count on that. And so having a backup channel, and this is like, if Adam, what's up with your email list? Why not have any? Are there any main email list subscribers? We got censored by MailChimp. So I can't really trust that too. And this is, relatively, it's a free service, Telegram. And that's why they're trying to shut it down. And so tomorrow we're going to be looking at that in some detail. We got basically a big censorship block to throw in with our Cutting Edge of Good News. Should we save it for Friday? And it's Thursday. We've got a big catch-up week. We even sort of missed a show with the snow on Tuesday. But cracked eggs. The new Texas Declaration needs to be written by average people, not the same representatives that have thrown them under the bus. All right, hey, that is it. We are getting to that story as well today. But first, let's get CJ on stage here for a quick producer note, because we want to talk, we want to talk merchandise as always, because we got cool shit here with Adam versus the Man branding and Freedom logos. But I want to talk with CJ, with the audience here, about our distribution strategy, because we want to make sure that our effort goes to serve you most effectively. CJ, how you doing this morning?
Oh, morning, Adam. So this Freedom hat was present at the Capitol building on the 6th of January as I was at the front line getting gassed. And this morning, I put it on for the first time. And I just smell it. And whee! I'll tell you what, I'm awake. I'm ready to do the show. This Freedom hat has government tear gas on it. Woo-wee! So, anyway, so I mean, I'm okay. It's kind of, I got post-traumatic stress from the government, gassing and targeting us, and then having a lovely day that day. But so a little friendly reminder that freedom comes at a cost. And
CJ, I don't mean to diminish your experience on the 6th in the slightest, and I certainly respect that that's a trauma, that's a fear, that when you walk up to one of those lines, you have a reason to compel you to confront the police, whether it's legit or not. And of course, yours as a journalist, entirely legit. Practically nobody else there. Let's get Trump back in. No, but I will take this opportunity to brag now that we're like brothers in civil disobedience, cop confrontations, right? Yeah, I've had plenty of experiences like that. Try getting wait till you're face to face with one cop who's roughing you up and throwing you into a jail cell.
I
Wait,
will
wait
never
until you get.
forget. I will never forget not only the look of the cop's eyeballs at him. I swear, his eyeballs were like, I mean, we're talking, and he was carrying a thin blue line flag as he's being dragged into the crowd while the entire crowd is singing the national anthem, and you can just watch like utter chaos and destruction happening and things that you could never imagine. And I mean, I almost want to say that the collapsitarian me is going, yeah, this is about what it would look like. You'd be dragging all of them out, much like that cop, and I think some would go off this way and others would go off that way, and it'd be an interesting day. But we do have a responsibility, Adam, as journalists to cover historic events, and regardless of however the media wants to portray that, fuck them. No F's given here. We have a right to be there, to record it, to document it, and to make sure that the proper story is actually being told. We can't let government write the story of that day, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a story that, as an historic event, is going to have ripple effects. And we have two stories about this in the pile today. Update on Enrique Tarrio, and one of the things that you made me think of there, and I think we're pretty clear on this being some kind of false flag, as in, at very least, obviously, undeniably, someone within the Capitol Police or who can pull strings with them let it happen on purpose, right? That's just big picture, fly over, yeah, no shit. But what you made me think of there, that I don't think we have sufficiently pondered, and I do think it is worth drawing some conclusions from, is the truly Kafkaesque, dystopian nature of those events, of what, like a cop with a thin blue line American flag, which, by the way, is a violation of U.S. flag code, carrying that into a mob, or being dragged into a mob of Trump supporters to be beaten while they're singing the national anthem.
No, that cop, they were all chanting, "Let him go."
Oh, okay, in that case.
Go. Like, okay. Yeah.
But okay, CJ, you're right. Excuse me for missing the back and forth on should we beat cops or not by the mega crowd at the Capitol. That just adds to the Kafkaesque nature of this whole thing, does it not? Like, let's beat some cops. No, let's not beat some cops. Let's have the crowd yell at people for beating cops. Let's have the crowd yell and encourage people to beat cops. Like, whoa, just no. And the reason I point that out, CJ, is that I think by taking that moment, or looking at this and appreciating the Kafkaesque nature of this, $500,000 worth of Bitcoin sent to people involved in the days before, you just go, this is AstroTurf. This is AstroTurf as fuck. This is false flag. And what is the purpose? Like, what is it being set up for? And this is one of the stories we have today, is the domestic extremist declaration bullshit. And now they're cracking down on anybody who is any kind of meaningful dissenter, which is really disturbing. And when you step back, what is a false flag attack? It's an attack on the people who are being set up as the attackers, namely every Trump supporter, everybody in the MAGA crowd, everybody who they can lump in with that. And essentially, it's the American people. This false flag was an attack on the American people, giving the government the excuse to attack us. Just like if you wanted to think of 9/11 as a false flag, it was an attack against the United States, allegedly by landmarks, with the false flag of some dude in a cave on a dialysis machine, in order to create the excuse for the U.S. government to go after the new fake enemy of extremists in the Middle East.
Right. I mean, do you want me to disagree with you, or do you want me to stop Adam when he's wrong? Stop him when he's wrong. Got it.
I would just, where are the comments on this? I'm shocked we're not triggering somebody in the audience.
I was hoping that Mercedes would be on comments while I'm on the screen here, but yeah, there she is. All right.
Catalina wine mix. We have people drinking with us this morning. By the way, if you want to know what I keep on my desk to survive these times, this is the only size bottle that Jack Daniels should be allowed to come in, by the way, except for single shots. Yeah,
Right.
put
So,
it in my pocket.
Adam, you did want to talk about distribution here.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with I'm going to start with this one here. So, if you want to follow the Adam versus the Man public Telegram channel, the link is on the screen. If you want to be old school and write it down, and you want to have to get pen and paper, or you can click it, put it in your browser, download Telegram. That is the public channel for Adam versus the Man. So we'll be posting there. Maybe
CJ, before you go any further into Telegram, since you jumped into that, I got to say something about that, and then I want to get to the big picture. Excuse me here, but like this Telegram thing, as I was trying to get to earlier about the censorship, they're coming after Telegram now. Why? Telegram is a significant innovation in messaging apps and just allowing you to create a broadcast channel, subscribe publicly, and create and manage groups. That's it. It's just a device or an app for messaging and for communications. But because it's not controlled,
it's also encrypted.
Right. Well, I don't put too much importance in that because it's a little
it's not air-gapped. It doesn't have the Faraday cage. It's not.
Yeah, right. End-to-end air-gapped offline encryption is the only sure, secure digital communication you can have. But I'm sure some tech expert in the comments, well, what about? You get my point. But if it's on your phone, it might not be secure, and you don't know for sure because your phone is hooked up to the system with backdoors and trapdoors and ways that the government can get in because they love their corporate giants like Verizon who will let you in if you're a government agent looking for information. But so I'm getting ready, and I'm really excited that CJ is taking on as a project getting us a Telegram distribution channel, a broadcast channel on Telegram. But now I'm afraid, just like with YouTube, we're going to invest years of effort and then, sorry, government says it's gone. But, we got to keep adapting, improvising, and overcoming. And I think Telegram is a great way to do that. So, CJ, before you jump into anything more specific, this is what I want to do real quick, is that we want the audience's help in making sure that our distribution over our 5 priority platforms is going to meet your needs and help us beat the censors, get around them, and have backups. Now, all of this, as CJ gets more organized, we're going to have it really obvious at adamversustheman.com. That's our main destination website. You go to adamversustheman.com. We'll have the live show there every day. We'll have the backups. We'll have social media, all the announcements so that you can stay connected even when they don't want you to. Look, there we are on adamversustheman.com. I love it. Ported from YouTube. Okay, so of our 5 platforms, because YouTube is our biggest, even though we are severely shadow banned there. Look at our numbers, 250,000 subs, and this is what we get for views. Hard time believing that. But number one, and it has like the practical values, a lot of capabilities. So YouTube is number 1 still. Number 2, the Adam versus the Man broadcast channel on Telegram, CJ's new baby. Very excited about this. Number 3, BitChute. And this is the thing I want to ask the audience for help with right now, is that we're looking for a crypto-based alternative to YouTube. And I was around for Steam and Steemit and DTube and DLive, and it doesn't look like they're really viable platforms right now. We are deferring to the audience on this. Where do you want to watch? Where do you want to show support with crypto micro tips or whatever for this production? I think it's BitChute. I would like to see us focus on, but on this show, if you want to challenge this, let us know in the comments. 4, Patreon. People who donate get special content. We make sure that on Patreon, all of our subscribers, and you can use, I didn't realize you could do this from, when we first got involved with this, but Patreon is actually a decent way to get content feeds from the people that you're actually supporting. So Patreon is our number 4. And then number 5, here's the other one that we want to ask for your help with. We use, is number 5, audio file destination for the audio production of this podcast. Now we use and we pay for liberated syndication. We just kind of have it default set up. Well, it just goes to a bunch of different platforms. I don't know, you can probably get us on Stitcher and the Apple Store and whatever. We hooked up to a bunch of different things with Patreon, or with Libsyn. But we want to ask you guys, where do you listen to podcasts? We want to make sure that Libsyn is going to that most convenient destination for you, and that whatever it is with Libsyn, maybe it goes to a bunch of other places, but that's the one that we're going to promote as get the audio file on whatever platform. So CJ, before we take any comments or thoughts, and we'll be looking throughout the show from the audience, any other thoughts on this new, instead of sort of scattershot, focus, whatever, 5 prime outlet distribution strategy?
This is why ExpressVPN will most likely never be a sponsor of Adam versus Man. But hey, either way, at the end of the day, we'll just let that be. I'm looking forward to seeing what the audience comes up. Maybe use the Telegram channel. Again, this is where we're going to let the public engage us through Telegram. We're going to add in some of our more loyal audience members, more of our, I would call you all, producer club members into public moderating. Maybe we can also take public suggestions for stories, use that as another filter for the news as well. Because all these channels turn into this. Look at this news story. Look at this meme. Happy birthday, Brad. It's all the channels do that. But what it does is it condenses things down one to a public channel, and then our page, and then our producers club is our private channel. So it is going to separate public and private on Telegram, and then we can always use that public chat to share these links. And one thing about Telegram that most people don't get is that when you're dealing with like something like Facebook, you can only send 25 megabyte videos. You can only send so much content. On Telegram, I don't think I've ever reached the limit on what you can send per data size. So that's a huge advantage when you're sharing content like we do to this level. And, I highly recommend getting onto the platform sooner rather than later. And there are the Telegram right now is the Wild West of chat. So, get on it now.
So Jason Bonnet asks the question, is Telegram where you are all moving? Yes and no. We're already on Telegram. We're not moving to Telegram. We use it. I love Telegram. I use it to follow a number of subscription channels. We use it for our producers club. First and foremost, we have a core team chat. We have a Gardenia chat. There are other things that we use it for, but what we're doing, we're expanding to this Telegram channel. By the way, we already have 6 subscribers, just announcing live, just like that. Boom, boom, boom. I guess I'm one of them because CJ, you got to make me an admin. You forgot.
I don't know. Well, maybe we'll make admin a contest or something. I'm in charge. I am. Look at me. I am the captain now.
We're also going to be selecting a few members from the producers club to be moderators of our broadcast channel and to be posting content. And it will serve as a comprehensive news digest broadcast. As well as a place where you can reply and you can comment. It's really cool how it works. I've been enjoying watching other channels, and I'm very excited that CJ is taking that on. So, but finally, what's your favorite YouTube alternative crypto site, and what's your favorite place to listen to podcasts? That's what we want from you during today's show. CJ, any other producer notes?
Of course, Adam. If you're looking at this hunk of a man and going, wait, where do I get that epic hat? Where do I get that sweatshirt that makes CJ look a little slimmer? You can go to Adam versus the Man and hit our store. It's a great way to support the show. T-shirts, stickers, hats, fanny packs, work neck gaiters, not to be confused with the virus that shall not be named, compliance muzzles, coffee mugs, freedom panties, beanies, you name it. That is where you can help support our broadcast. And if you're even so obliged to help support us even further, you can help us by supporting our sponsor, Cigar Federation. Cigar Federation is a favorite for Adam here. Who pushed that button? Mercedes? No, not you. Oh, there we go. Cigar Federation. Where you can go to Cigar Federation, where promo code Adam10, that's ADAM 10, gets you 10% off your order. And one of the favorites for Adam is the JSK Nugs. You can go type in Nugs and get yourself some JSK Nugs, which is a CBD infused cigar. And of course, Adam would not let me stop today without saying, please go to the Garden of Freedom and on Instagram and support, his photography there in Gardenia. I gotta say, pictures that you won't expect, pictures that are, family friendly, that you can go and see a different side of Adam. You know, that person that said Adam looks so angry. Does this look like an angry Adam to you? I mean, he's always angry. This person doesn't know you, Adam. So at the end of the day, more power to them. Hope they'll tune in and help support in some way. Other than that, Adam, that's pretty much all the producer notes I've got today. If you want to get to some news stories, I don't know if Mercedes, can you hear today? Are you good?
Well,
you're good. She's good. So Mercedes'
right.
audio is good, and you do have a co-host.
Excellent. Well, we are going to jump into our first grab bag, and then we are going to, and then we'll get back to Mercedes and comment as soon as I fix my screen here. All right. So CJ, for this grab bag of headlines, I got one thing. I'm going to jump around a little bit just to give you the heads up. But there was one story shared in the Producers Club today that I have to share, just because it's one of those things you go, wow, this is an important part of my understanding of the world that seems to be a very underreported story, underreported reality, and one that is often swept under the rug, not properly appreciated or applied by the average American. And this is from insider.com. I hate to start our news today with something that's not really news, but it is news to a lot of people, and it is important. This is, as far as I would concern things here, this is an Adam versus the Man public safety announcement. Insider has this headline: these mothers called 911 to seek help for their struggling sons. Their children ended up dead. Don't worry, I am not going to read the other 5 parts of this 6-part series. I am not going to tell you about all of these tragedies. If you want to look at government violence porn, yeah, find the link in the description and get into this story. But there are a few things in the summary here that I do, like, as a responsible journalist. If I'm saying, hey, this is what's going on in the world today, let me tell you what's important and how to live better, I have an obligation to tell you, and really every time we mention the police, that they are more dangerous than you probably think, less trustworthy than you probably think, less effective than you probably think, and whatever you do, do not call the police except as a very, 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 very last resort. The bullet points on the story: the police shootings of Daniel Pruitt and Walter Wallace Jr. highlight both how ill-equipped police officers are to deal with mental health crises and the pain and guilt that family members can feel after calling the police to intervene. Insider spoke with 5 mothers who called the police during their son's mental health crises, only for the officers to kill their sons. Yeah, this is part 1 in a 6-part series. If you want, like, I don't do this. I'm not an angry guy. I'm not a sad guy. But I started reading this yesterday, and I was like, these are some tough stories. It's kind of hard to put them down. And a mom in California was told that her son had a knife and was expressing suicidal thoughts. She didn't want to take a chance by dismissing it as just a teenage cry for help. It goes through all these examples. In each case, the desperate parent made the only choice they thought they had. They called 911. But instead of summoning relief, those tragic calls triggered a deadly response by armed police officers. Now, I am a fan of pointing out logical fallacies, and far be it for me to try to tell you that by this anecdotal evidence, you should refrain from calling the police when, by the vast majority of police responses, they don't accidentally kill the wrong person. In these cases, not so much accidentally as carelessly and maliciously. So let's look at some numbers to put this in perspective. Police officers in the U.S. have fatally shot nearly 1,000 people each year since 2015, the Washington Post reported in June. And hats off to those at the Washington Post for this, maybe one thing they're doing right and keeping track of these things. A few of those shootings have a certain terrible distinction. They occurred after someone called the police for help with a relative in a mental crisis. Choosing to call for help has left these families suffering from a particular kind of survivor's guilt, one for people who were failed by a broken system that gave them nothing but bad options. Well, that's not true entirely. There is a broken system that gives them nothing but bad options. But there are options like not calling murderers in costumes to respond to mental health crises. Just as one option that's better than the alternative. And in terms of the proportion of these, and a lot of bootlickers, when they hear these statistics, they'll say, well, it's just a couple bad apples, or most of the people that the government kills deserve to be killed. I mean, did you see that meth guy who was wrestling with? And again, you want cops to have drones that can drop cargo nets out of the sky, and these are just one more. You want cops to have every non-lethal means of securing you at their disposal, because at some point it might be your life hanging in the balance. You might have a mental breakdown yourself. Could happen to anybody. You might have a problem with drugs. I mean, alcohol is the worst drug in terms of causing people to dangerous, unnecessary confrontations with law enforcement. You might be poisoned somehow. You might be slipped something in your drink. I had a friend actually in DC who was given a PCP dipped cigarette because he was bumming one on a street corner. Maybe the guy gave him the wrong one out of the pack. Next thing you know, he's in a gas station taking his clothes off, and police have to tackle him and strap him to a gurney. So here are the bigger numbers. Mental health is a factor in nearly 20% of fatal police shootings. Now, I would argue it's 100%. Anytime a cop kills somebody, either you have a deranged cop with a mental health issue, some kind of psychopathy, sociopathy, violence disorder, anger disorder, something like that. But we're talking about the victims here. And that's what's so sad, is that researchers have found 10% of police calls for service each year involve some kind of mental health crisis. And then 20% of the shootings. Yeah. So the risk of being killed, this is a 2015 study by the Treatment Advocacy Center, found that the risk of being killed by law enforcement for people with an untreated mental illness, about 1 in 50 people, is 16 times as high as the risk for other people. Police have this bad habit of killing sick people instead of treating them or helping them get to treatment. Imagine that. Oh, excuse me. Did I say that police kill sick people? I meant poor sick people. Rich sick people seem to be able to avoid this problem. But it's for those who are in the desperate situation, like the family members in the stories in this article, who go, I don't have any other option, better call the police. If you have private security is not going to do this because they're liable. They get held responsible when they kill people by accident. Cops, no. And this is the crux of the problem here, is that police are not held accountable for their actions. And I don't want to say ever, but never properly. Gun and a badge gives you a certain kind of legal protection and immunity. And the system will protect those who enforce its will on its victims. Don't turn to them if you have a child in crisis. Don't turn to them under any circumstances, again, except as a very, 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 very last resort. And I hope that covering this story serves as a useful public service announcement. All right, now I got to fix my screen again. StreamYard, glitchy, or maybe it's Chrome. Who knows? All right, shall we get to our block about a follow-up from the events of January 6th? According to CNN, 2 police officers died by suicide after responding to Capitol riot. Wow. Talk about a headline that doesn't pass the smell test. Acting Metropolitan Police Chief Robert J. Conti told the House Appropriations Committee on Tuesday that 2 police officers have died by suicide since responding to the riot at the Capitol on January 6, according to Conti's opening statement before the committee, which was obtained by CNN. This is the first time the force has confirmed that 2 officers took their own lives after the attack. Now it's an attack. I thought it was a riot. Was it an insurrection at one point? No, false flag insurrection. Well, now it's officially an attack as we're discussing officer suicides. As Conti said in a statement, tragically, 2 officers who were at the Capitol on January 6, one each from the Capitol Police and MPD, took their own lives in the aftermath of that battle. The Washington Post was first. Now, first, plausibility of this story. Now, I'd like to think that I have some relevant experience, some understanding of the issue, and a pretty good body of statistics in mind by which to look at this and analyze this. And of course, you cannot say decisively. It's definitely possible. You know, you had hundreds, maybe a couple thousand police on scene that day. You know, I'm sure among a group as propagandized and conditioned and beaten down and trained in violence as the United States Capitol Police and DC Metro Police Department, it could be completely random. It could be that there were a couple officers on the verge of suicide because they've lost their jobs over the COVID shut. Oh, wait, no, they're one of the few who still have jobs during this COVID season that seems to never end. Wouldn't be that. Could be economic stress. I mean, maybe around all of that. You know, everybody's a little bit on edge these days. Maybe family members have died from being given the wrong treatment for COVID, put on ventilators that aggravated their lung conditions and led them to death. Possibly. Who knows? So if you say, you know, what are the odds that this is just random and had nothing to do with the attack? Safe to say, pretty darn low, almost insignificant. And that it would be 2 officers following this attack in this period, statistically speaking, almost impossible, right? So what's the second possibility here? That they experienced such a trauma in this event that it did push them to suicide. Now, it could have been the straw that broke the camel's back. One more thing. It could have been the fact that they were being called upon to fight American citizens on U.S. soil. I imagine if I was the officer who killed Ashley Babbitt, yes, hashtag say her name, the Air Force veteran who was killed going through the Capitol building entirely unnecessarily. I mean, to the point where you go, this could have been a murder, maybe more than manslaughter in the case of the officer who shot Ashley Babbitt. But if you were that officer and you were about to be made a national pariah, demonized, if you were about to have to go into witness protection, if you were going to go to jail and maybe get murdered by inmates for killing a protester, maybe you were set up too. Maybe you were confused. Of course, you were lied to in order to take that job in the first place. You were told, as we were in the military, that joining a government agency is serving your country. Oh, it's not serving the government. It's not serving the super class or the rich or the elites or the powerful. No, you are serving your country by putting on that uniform and picking up a gun to kill when politicians tell you to. That lie seems to ring hollow when stated like that, doesn't it? And I can imagine that, yeah, if you were that officer in that circumstance, yeah, suicide might seem like a tempting option. Especially if, who knows, what other chronic health conditions. Oh, you know what else? Maybe that officer's family really was struggling with COVID, struggling financially. And the government gives you a great life insurance policy. You could save yourself all that pain and suffering, all that time with Bubba in the shower, and take care of your family at the same time with one shot to the head. A lot remains to be seen as we hopefully get some more details in understanding this, but I wouldn't trust any of the details coming from government anyway in this case. But what about the third possibility? I'm sure some of you have considered that these suicides weren't really suicides. These were suicides like the Jeffrey Epstein suicide. You get suicided, not commit suicide when someone wants it to look that way. It's not hard. It's not hard to stage a suicide, especially when you have the black ops budgets of the federal government. Even short of that, I mean, to look at other conspiratorial possibilities here, who knows? Maybe it was someone who had some insider who let it happen on purpose, who was part of that Trump infiltration of the United States Capitol Police. And then, well, you know, when the operation was done, we just had to tie up a few loose ends. But now back to the second possibility for a second here. If you weren't the cop who shot Ashley Babbitt, if you didn't commit significant violence against protesters that day, you're just one of these guys in a neon yellow reflective arm striped law enforcement vest with a bicycle helmet and a mask on, pushing against metal barricades to hold back the crowd. Scary, certainly imbued with a sense of historical significance, but traumatizing to the point of suicide? I would say that except for those at the Capitol riots of January 6th, this false flag insurrection, having experienced a little bit of combat trauma myself, except for the handful that were directly involved in the deaths or beatings or violent confrontations, and compared to the thousands who were there, my estimate would be that it was a few dozen. And maybe CJ can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong on this perspective, but in terms of being directly involved in or even witness to the shooting of Ashley Babbitt or the beatings of some of the cops or protesters, this is traumatic. And for CJ, CJ experienced some trauma being on the front lines as a journalist here, witnessing all of this. Not just witnessing, but being threatened in the process by all of this. CJ, as a combat veteran Marine, can go, oh, wow, that's some trauma. Let me process that. Okay, he's got it. Are we worried about CJ? No. And am I worried about the majority of cops or protesters who were there that day? No, not at all. I am concerned with those who were really directly involved or confronted by or witness to death or other traumatic events, and that is not insignificant. Would it lead two police officers to commit suicide by itself? As we covered in the story previously about mothers calling 911 for their sons with mental health issues and crisis being shot by cops, did any of those cops commit suicide? I don't know, but it's not like we have a cop suicide epidemic. No, cops kill way more citizens than they kill themselves. So these two suicides, we're going to be following up on this. Even as I am tempted to be dismissive in my coverage of the events of January 6th, and I will dismiss enthusiastically all the false bullshit narratives about this, I cannot ignore the fact that there is something much deeper underneath it. They have kicked off the Biden administration with a false flag that allows them to declare war on the American people. The Associated Press has this next headline: U.S. terrorism alert warns of politically motivated violence. Yeah. The Department of Homeland Security issued a national terrorism bulletin Wednesday warning of the lingering potential for violence from people motivated by anti-government sentiment after President Joe Biden's election, suggesting the January 6th riot at the Capitol may embolden extremists and set the stage for additional attacks. You know, quick sidebar here. Someone in my family keeps trying to call me an anti-vaxxer because I'm against this vaccine or these COVID vaccines. But just because I don't like the pair of pants that you're wearing right now doesn't make me a nudist, right? Just because I'm against this government doesn't mean I'm anti-government. And I know this might sound weird coming from someone who's in the past identified as an ANCAP, right? But I don't have a problem with voluntary government. Obviously, I'm not anti-government. I'm anti-corrupt government, and I'm anti-violent government. I'm anti this government because it is a criminal institution that doesn't even have the consent of the governed anymore. 10,000 troops now stationed around the United States Capitol. Who knows for how long they're going to be there? So, the department did not cite any specific plots, but pointed to a heightened threat environment across the United States that it believes will persist for weeks after Biden's January 20 inauguration. Yeah. It is not uncommon for the federal government to warn local law enforcement through bulletins about the prospect for violence tied to a particular event or date, such as July 4th. Yes, July 4th, July 4th. Why is July? Oh, yeah, that was American Terrorism Day, right? July 4th, when the Americans decided they weren't going to be British anymore and signed a declaration that says we're terrorists and we'll stand aside from the British Empire. Yeah, okay. But this particular bulletin issued through the department's National Terrorism Advisory System is notable because it effectively places the Biden administration into the politically charged debate over how to describe or characterize acts motivated by political ideology, and suggests it regards violence like the kind that overwhelmed the Capitol as akin to terrorism. And oh yes, there is some great delicious irony to people who used to support the global war on terror now going, oh shit, where I live, that's part of the globe too. Yeah. It wasn't enough for the surveillance state and the police state. Now it's the war on terror coming home. I hope that puts the significance of all of this in perspective based on what we know now. Although we should point out that the Proud Boys leader, Enrique Tarrio, was recently outed as a federal informant, confidential federal informant. Whether it's true or not, this undoubtedly proves that when government agents come to you and say, oh, rat out your friends, we'll protect you. You can't trust them. Now, I don't want to condemn Enrique Tarrio here, as I said in covering the story yesterday, for his cooperation with local and federal law enforcement after being arrested in 2012, at least according to the government. But why is this coming out publicly? Why are they outing a confidential informant? I'm going to put a target on his back. They want to disrupt the Proud Boys, like him or not, a significant part of the resistance now to the Biden administration. So apparently some of this is public, doesn't matter. Tarrio is denying the allegations altogether. That might be the safe thing for him to say, I don't know any of this, I don't recall any of this, end quote. But the general consensus among members, fortunately, the Proud Boys are smarter than the Biden administration gives them credit for. But who knows how many infiltrators are in the Proud Boys now? How many COINTELPRO agents? And every time I say that, if you don't know what COINTELPRO is, counterintelligence program, FBI, look it up. It's how they infiltrate and subvert activist groups, originally the anti-war movement and Black Panther movements. But, you know, it's part of a media ploy to divide the group? Yeah, absolutely. And with Tarrio, as I said yesterday, it could all be justified. This is a man under duress, being threatened. We have a government that can threaten anybody at any time with jail time, ruining your life, and say, look, here's a gun to your head. You're going to do this, and then maybe I'll take the gun away from your head. It's a sad reality that we have to acknowledge. And if there's any bigger lesson to be drawn from all of this, it's grow vegetables, not government. One of my favorite memes to come out of this was the FBI agent with the stick poking the the libertarian dude, going, come on, go to DC. And he's going, no fucking way. Yeah, don't fall for it. Don't even fall for the idea that confrontation is necessary. It's like John Lennon said, they will do everything they can to make you upset. They will pull your beard, flick your nose, anything to make you angry and violent. Because then they can control you. They know exactly how to handle that. What they cannot handle is love and good humor and smiles. And now I'm totally butchering this John Lennon quote, but I think you get the point. Violence begets violence. Confrontation begets confrontation. We cannot fight away the state, but eventually we will love it away. And now I will unfreeze my screen so I can see your comments again. Let's get Mercedes and CJ back up here. CJ first. I want to make sure that that I didn't misstate any of the particulars or my analyses of the trauma that was experienced by so many on January 6th. But let's also get Mercedes up here for her thoughts and anything she might want to make sure we hear from our audience today.
Mercedes, you can go first.
Oh, me, yes. Hi, Adam. First of all, you're really glitchy backstage for me, so I've been lagging behind you on YouTube. So I'm sorry for that. So I am a little behind. I was popping up comments while you were talking as well. We had a lot of just good comments. Like my first thought when you said 2 police officers had yeeted themselves was this comment. And I'm going to pop it up for a third time because it's a good one. Were killed when they were going to spill the beans, you mean? That was my first thought when I see roosters too. All the dogs.
Yeah, I could have been more clear. I thought it was clear enough when I said tie up loose ends, right?
And then we just got a super chat for $10. It says you're the man.
Oh right.
It's
Thank you
not
first,
Daddy.
Domino. By the way, top super chat. I think we're gonna play Google's game for now until we're broadcasting live on BitChute and taking less taxed tips in crypto. But until then, I say top super chat every day wins Producer Club membership. So you get to buy your way in if you're watching live. First Domino, thank you very much. $10. Email adam@thefreedomline.com and we'll get you plugged in to the Producers Club.
All right. So, Adam, you asked if I was traumatized and you're not worried about me necessarily. And yes, the events of this day were extremely stressful. It's not every day you get to wake up and smell the CS gas of your government. Whose tax dollars paid for that, by the way?
Right.
I'm just saying, to all
Ian,
you guys,
we're on the air. Is it an emergency? Okay, I'll talk to you in an hour and a half.
all right. But yeah, it was extremely stressful. At the end of the day, there's so much that happened that day that you can go back through any footage of that day anytime and relive it mentally.
Just watching it and knowing you were there, like I didn't message you. I had my support group because my friend decided to go on a crazy mission to be a journalist to document history in lifetime so the government couldn't lie to us. So knowing that you were even there, not knowing what the government was going to do to you or how they were going to frame it after you left, knowing that you were trying to figure out that as well, because the government went full ham, y'all are bad guys now. We led you to the trap. We led you to slaughter. We led you to the water. We led you to be naughty.
First and foremost, they had to have known that media was going to show up.
And that's just it, is watching from here, because obviously I can't go anywhere. So I was monitoring from this side because I can. So I was watching the mainstream. I was watching from inside, from C-SPAN. I was watching your live stream. I was watching 2 or 3 other live streams. I saw the live stream of the dude who is actually an elected official that was going through the doors and helping them break stuff. I made sure to find all the live streams I could that were different. Okay, I just won't hear. But I was sitting here knowing you were there, knowing other people were there, seeing what the government was doing to you because it's a trap, because that's what the government does, because hi, person of color, right? So then here I am with my toddler freaking out on you. So not only were the people... I know, but daddy's not here. He's at work. So then I'm doing the toddler thing as a mom, normal American whose friends are there, watching this happen, not knowing how the government's going to respond. And here I am, like, I can't even talk to you because they were cutting live streams. You get to certain areas I was watching, live streams would go dead. So now I'm telling, like, all of these people, thank you, Lisa, are not people who protested all summer like me and everybody else. They're people who think that the government's going to protect them and let them go in because that's how the government is responding.
Peter asks,
And I keep I'm going to mute myself because I'm having a meltdown. I'm sorry.
Peter asks, CJ, were all the troops, were they all our troops, do you believe? You know, Peter, how about this? You look at this and you tell me what you think. You tell me when you're looking at the police line here, do you think they're all our troops? I couldn't tell who was who at any point in time. So yeah, that was that was a day that you know, who knows who was who. It's like a giant Where's Waldo. You know, there's a moment in here, like we've been saying, where a lady broke through the police line and was it's what escalated everything. We don't know who she was or what she was there for. And, you know, we don't know who was on whose side. So, yeah, no, I can't definitively answer any of that there, Peter. I wish we could.
CJ, I just had a little epiphany there based on what you said about looking at that crowd. Has there ever been a revolution that required massive public rallies to be successful? Required. Was that ever the crux? Was it ever government went, oh, you're having big rallies? I guess we're going to change government.
What about the whole never let a good crisis go to waste?
Well, there we go. But the American Revolution, do you remember all the great stadium rallies and protests that, you know, George Washington did to rally the troops? Remember all the like Trump style rallies?
No, they just went and killed the British. That's all they did. They just went and killed the British.
We met, we organized, we got shit done.
But here's the thing, Adam. Then you look at today's history, and you look at just in my state alone, there's this mountain. And this mountain has presidential faces on them. And we then, as Republicans and even Democrats, you know, well, some Democrats and some Republicans, I guess I don't want to speak for all of them, but they celebrate these presidents. And these are the presidents that had no problem killing people in government. And they celebrate these people, and then it's like a counterintuitive message to the public. Like, we celebrate the presidents that used to kill people in government, but if you even perceive like you might kill anybody in government today, you're the threat. It's this backwards, weird logic they've decided to gaslight the public with.
Right. Well, I was getting to a second point here that makes, like, as I enjoy rallies, protests. I've organized some of the biggest anti-war protests of the anti-Iraq war movement, or at least I don't want to say organized like it was just me, as a, you know, part of a big team with Iraq Veterans Against the War. And the vulnerability of crowds seems to make it, especially in today's day and age of covert infiltration and saboteurs, large crowds seem like dangerous, unnecessary vulnerabilities. Why would you say, this is our cause, these are our people, they have come together and standing in this crowd, when then any asshole undercover agent can go in that crowd and just start shooting people, or, I don't know, showing his ass, or yelling mean slogans that you know, create vulnerabilities that make it easy to demonize the movement as a whole. Like, why? You know, you would think that vulnerability would be make it an obsolete strategy at this point in most circumstances. And Trump has got to know this. Oh, there's a crowd. Well, we can infiltrate. We can manipulate. A crowd. When you make yourself part of a herd, you are creating like a super temporary herd status, where kind of easy to lead you off a cliff.
Yeah, absolutely. I was keenly aware while I was there, Adam, that at any moment, any person in that day could have just brought any kind of weapon to the front line and just started mowing people down. I mean, you are, especially if you don't have body armor, if you don't have a way to protect your body and your head, I mean, you are a vulnerable person, not only to mention to stampeding. I mean, we're talking there. I guess there was allegedly one person that did die of being stampeded. I guess that's, and so again, at the end of the day, you're so aware, especially if you're a combat veteran, of just how vulnerable you actually are. And, a lone gunman in that day could have done anything. So yeah, it's definitely stupid, in my opinion, to herd like that. I mean, anything could have happened there, Adam. And the fact that only 5 people, allegedly 5, have died. I guess they would include the suicides. The government numbers being questioned always. There were people that did die that day in that event at that location, and so it could have been a lot more. It could have been anybody there. It wouldn't have mattered your status, whether you are on left or right side or in the middle. It wouldn't have mattered. And so yeah, when I say that I was aware, I process this and I go, I am lucky that I was not Ashley Babbitt. I am lucky that herd in the west side did not push through, and it would have been a bullet war on the inside. So yeah.
Well, as much as I respect, what you and Cash did as journalists, and I do believe that it was helpful and necessary and righteous in this case, it might be the last time that that's true, historically speaking. It might be that from now on, and I know you were calling people to the front lines, but at some point come to the front lines that government set up. That's like calling all your fellow Buffalo to come to the front line.
No. Again, no, I'm saying, look, we wouldn't get footage like this, Adam. We wouldn't get this kind of footage where we're able to get an angle that nobody else is getting. And
no, sure. No, CJ, again, in this case, I think this might be the last chance that's relevant. I would have rather been flying it when we get really good, reliable live streaming drones that could get the same footage. There's no reason for you
to never be able to fly that within a half a freaking mile to maybe 10 of the Capitol building. So you're not
the Capitol. But no, my point is still the same, CJ, is that I don't want to make it easy for them to kill me. I don't want to, if someone knew that you were, like, say someone in government wanted you dead, like, and I don't think this is likely immediately, right? But like, you look at Hastings, the guy who was covering the Jeremy Hastings, Rolling Stone, covering specific corruption within the Defense Department, and then he suicided, car accidented, whatever. Why if you're in a crowd? Hey, I can walk up to you if you're in a crowd, pushed together. I can walk up to you from behind with a poison needle, stick it in your ass, disappear, and you will never know. Done. Well,
right. And just for the record, we do believe that Cash was targeted by law enforcement, shot point blank in the face by a pepper ball, which could be lethal, and with a 40 millimeter canister. And had he not bought the helmet that we all made fun of him about, he would have probably had a hole in the back of his head. So yeah, no, we're really aware of what is the possibility. However, again, if this is the new normal of journalism, personally, like I said, I don't care what anybody says, you, the president, anybody, doesn't matter to me, because the FBI already cleared us and what we did that day. And so that justifies in my mind, yeah, right. The government gave us permission to do what we did without charging us.
CJ, does the government ever change its mind and screw people over by changing their mind?
Well, we've documented them saying we did nothing wrong, so we welcome them to try. But again,
I get it. You're pretty secure in the clear on this.
We're investigating the people that are investigating us. It's this perpetual investigation of each other.
Well, CJ, if that's what you're doing, what you're not doing is waking people up to the message of freedom. At least with that time.
Bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
No. that
I wore
activity,
the freedom hat to the fucking event. Waking
you,
people up to
no, I
freedom.
didn't mean, hey, CJ, I did not mean overall. Oh, hey, we got a $5 super chat for Mike Johnson, super sticker. Thank you. Yes, we do have stickers too. Anyway, freedom stickers. They look awesome on everything. But CJ, no, my point is that you do things that are effective, and oftentimes with confrontation, when you get sucked into confrontation as opposed to love and enlightenment and knowledge and logic and reason and peace, you often have massive efforts diverted from where they might be more effective. And in that sense, I think that there's a lot in this that we get tempted and end up spending more time on than we should. Now, just to wrap up this segment, if I may, out of concern for you, CJ, was my characterization, was his first domino, perpetual investigation of each other. Yeah, right. Spy versus spy. But then if that's what happens, if we, again, I've made this analogy like by percentage, right? If the government, the true profiteers and string pullers are 1% of the population, and we as libertarians are 3% of the population, right? We could go fight that 1%. But if we are just at a stalemate the entire time, that 1% is able to continue its exploitation of the other 96% more or less unimpeded. But if us 3% go and talk to that 96% and say, hey, let's stop following them.
So just for
that's
the record,
more effective than fighting.
So yes, I agree with you, but just for the record, Adam, like I've seen man on the street videos of Adam freaking Kokesh, okay? You have no problem talking to anybody and their mother and then make sure that they watch the show afterwards, okay? Now, with that being said, when I was saying, Adam, you need to be here.
Permission.
Right, of course.
I'm big on mom's permission.
When I was saying, Adam, Jim, you guys should be here, I'm not necessarily saying get your ass up to the front like me. I'm saying there are at least 500,000 people that are here. We should be interviewing and getting content. We should be doing.
No, that I am looking forward to more opportunities as we develop our production organization. And
but what I'm saying is, if you didn't let me finish, but what I'm saying is that if you're a veteran specifically, and you've signed up to kill for politicians, and they've kind of taken away that block that will let you mentally push forward into these stressful situations to get videos and images that the public will otherwise not see, then that's kind of where my mindset is okay, these fuckers trained me to not fear going to the front lines of shit. And so now I'm going to use that skill and that block in my brain to go film what they're doing. And as we're the average everyday American citizen that can't withstand a little tear gas would have backed off.
All right. Well, at risk of triggering everything on the internet, I'm going to put like as many disclaimers in front of what I'm about to say as possible. And I got to go back to your trauma, CD. That's the real end of the segment. But for those people you describe, people like us as veterans who still embody that warrior spirit, I think you have to have the courage to not just think for yourself, but not allow yourself to be hurted in order to be more of a warrior than a soldier. And here's the dangerous part of what I'm about to say. Because I would rather than going to protests and crowds and things like that, I would rather see every libertarian making media that wakes people up. I would rather see every libertarian learn how to talk to your friends and your neighbors and your family about what's important to you, right? But and here's the dangerous part here. Don't worry, I'm getting to it. But if you're a veteran and you're willing to use those skills, perhaps as a vigilante, I'll leave it at that. Let's just say there are better ways that you can apply those skill sets than by standing in political crowds. And I would rather see veterans use the violence skills tactically, righteously, appropriately, and far more effectively to put governments in check than by standing around and protest.
I fundamentally disagree with several aspects, but I agree with you in the majority of that. I would say that I will never let anybody diminish what I did on that day. If you attempt to, I'm going to slaughter you live on the air. and look forward to doing it. And the reason why is because I was not there for political protest. I was
I'm not
there.
talking about CJ. I'm not talking about you.
I understand that, but what I'm
not talking about you.
I know you're not, Adam. But what I'm saying is that when we're talking about the importance of the media, I've listened to you now for a very long time say we can't let government write the story about COVID, is essentially. But in my opinion, we're not going to let the government write the story about any of this. And so, yes, unfortunately, it looks like I walked into a giant mega freaking FBI trap of MAGA-tards and Q conspiracy theorists and all the worst of the internet. But at the end of the day, we do need people that are willing to go and document. So, I'm not afraid to go back into stuff like this. I'm not afraid to go to the front lines of things. I would never go dressed like I was that time again, ever. But, when it comes to documenting this, Adam, in my opinion, it's nothing more libertarian than documenting the crimes that the government's committing. So,
all right. So very last point here, CJ, out of personal concern for you, was my analysis of your trauma in perspective appropriate?
I'm don't worry about me. I'm actually got that weird combat trigger itch, like send me back in, coach. Send me back in. So maybe that is a sign that I am traumatized though, actually. So, I don't know. No, we'll see. But anyway.
We're concerned for CJ. We're keeping an eye on him as he is still.
I have no intentions of harming myself or others. Thank you very much.
As he is still 3 weeks on from the events of January 6th, processing that trauma, but in a very positive, constructive way. And I gotta say, for anybody who's experiencing any kind of trauma like that or suicidal thoughts, get help. Do we have the suicide? We talk about suicide a lot. We have the Suicide National Hotline up there. But no, if you're a Marine Corps veteran and you kill yourself, I will chase you down in hell and make you do monkey fuckers until you puke. So don't do it. The world needs you. The world needs you, especially veterans, especially people who are considering suicide because they see the evil of the world. We need you especially. All right, so back to the show. We got a fun news block here. Grab bag. We're over it, man. I shouldn't have started talking about the insurrection, or we don't get to talk about anything else on the show, right? All right, so we're going to do a little political grab bag, check back in with Mercedes and the audience in the comments, and then maybe we have at least 40 minutes left in the. Oh shoot, we only have 43 minutes left in the show now. We'll get to our international grab bag and our international block, see how much we can cover in that. First, though, Politico.com, social media influencer charged with spreading 2016 election information. The arrest marks a rare instance of an individual facing criminal charges over a disinformation campaign carried out on prominent social media platforms. Now, there are some people going nuts on the internet saying, oh my gosh, you can get arrested for making memes. That's not the story here. The story here is that you can make memes because they're a form of communication that are fraudulent. Yes, you can commit fraud with a meme. You can make violent threats with a meme. You can violate the non-aggression principle by depriving people of their property or their rights or freedoms through fraud with a meme. So no, drop that bullshit argument for a second. A Florida man with a big social media following was arrested on federal charges Wednesday on accusations that he used platforms such as Twitter to conduct a targeted voter suppression campaign in 2016, including with tweets urging people to avoid the line vote from home. And this is there's a certain hilariousness of this. Like, this was someone, I think they were targeting Clinton supporters. The article, says the candidate, they write that out. But there were people in 2016 and 2020, even before that, this is like old hat political shit. Where, hey, election day is November 2nd. Don't forget to vote November 3rd. Telling people the wrong day and going out and telling people who are more likely to support the opposition candidate with a little bit of deception. In this case, this guy was pretty clever, telling people that you can vote by text message, by texting your candidate's name to this number. And part of me wants to say, if you're dumb enough to trust a random Twitter account with official voting information and you think that you can text your vote in from your cell phone, hey, If we could stop dumb people from voting entirely, we might be a lot better off, right? But there is a fraud here, right? There is a deception. Now, here's the problem that I have with this, and it gets to a deeper issue. And this is why do I really care about this story? No, I just think it's a fun one to put in perspective and put down all these idiots that I'm seeing on my social media on Twitter going, oh, you got arrested for making a meme. No, he did not. That's not what happened. There was a fraud. This guy committed a fraud. And that guy, if you're now, here's the thing is about the fraud. Is a fraud necessarily a bad thing, right? If a mugger is pointing a gun at your face and you go, look, a helicopter is dropping cheerleaders onto your whatever. Just, look, there's an airplane. Look, it's Superman. And the guy looks away so you can grab his gun and take it out of his hand. Is that real? That's sort of a legitimate defensive fraud that you have committed. And in this sense, are you depriving someone of something that they own? Do you own the right to vote? No. There's no, again, because this is that concept of a positive right. If I have a right to vote, that means that if you don't create a government and a voting system, you're depriving me of my rights. No, that's not how rights work. So, do you have a right to vote for a politician who's going to violate individual rights, who's going to perpetuate the system of coercive? No, you don't have a right to vote. That's nonsense. This is part of the whole government racket, creating this fantasy of fictional property and rights that is just not in line with reality. So within this, political process, I do have a bit of an issue with the dishonesty of tactics like this. If we're going to have a violent criminal gang running this country, let's at least make sure that the flavor of the leadership of that gang be actually in line with American public opinion. You see how silly the election integrity people sound now? So in this case, Ricky Vaughn, Douglas Mackey, known as Ricky Vaughn, has been arrested on accusations of conspiring to deprive individuals of their right to vote through coordinated use of social media to spread disinformation. Well, if they were going to vote for a Republican who was going to violate my rights or a Democrat who was going to violate my rights, frankly, I don't give a damn. All right, now the big story, and we almost led with this today. Wall Street Journal has this headline: GameStop mania reveals power shift on Wall Street and the pros are reeling. Yeah. This is a really interesting story. The power dynamics are shifting on Wall Street. Individual investors are winning big, at least for now, and relishing it after an eye-popping rally in shares of companies that were once left for dead, including GameStop Corporation, AMC Entertainment Holdings Incorporated, and BlackBerry Limited, has upended the natural order between hedge fund investors and those trying their hand at trading from their sofas. While the individuals are rejoicing at newfound riches, the pros are reeling from their losses. Long-held strategies, such as evaluating company fundamentals, have gone out the window in favor of momentum. War has broken out between professionals losing billions and the individual investors jeering at them on social media. Meanwhile, the frenzy of activity is stirring regulatory and legal concerns, as well as the attention of the Biden administration. The White House press secretary said Wednesday that its economic team, including Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, is monitoring the situation. And you go, well, wait a second. Big investors are losing money to small investors? Must be something wrong with the system. The newbie investors are gathering on platforms such as Reddit, Discord, Facebook, and Twitter. They encouraging each other to pile into stocks, bragging about their gains, and at times intentionally banding together to intensify losses among professional traders who protest that social media hordes are conspiring to move stock prices. Hey, that's our job. That's how we rip them off. How dare they use those tactics to rip us off now? Yeah. And a lot of this is taking advantage of hyper leveraged positions and short sells that mainstream large investors are using. And now that vulnerability is being exposed. Reuters has this headline: GameStop stock retreats as Reddit rally runs into trading restrictions. Oh, yes. The system has ways of protecting its racket. GameStop shares sank early on Thursday as trading platforms, including Robinhood and Interactive Brokers, restricted trading in the video game retailer, along with AMC Entertainment and other stocks that soared this week in a social media-driven trading frenzy that shook stock markets. GameStop, the video game chain, whose 1,700% rally has been at the heart of the slugfest in the past week, lost half its value in early trading. The stock has rallied initially, then retreated, while American Airlines joined the growing list of stocks making stellar gains as small-time traders and major Wall Street institutions broadened their battle. On Reddit thread Wall Street Bets, where calls to buy stocks have helped drive the extraordinary moves, some of its more than 4 million members reported trading platform Robinhood was now preventing investors from buying GameStop and other volatile stocks. So there are a number of stories to pull out of this. By the way, Bloomberg via MSN has this headline: Dogecoin surges 77% as retail fever pitch stretches into crypto. That's right. This is related. The frenzy of Reddit-fueled stocks is reaching some of the weirder parts of the cryptocurrency world. And you know me, I've always been a fan of the Dogecoin, a digital coin, started as a joke, soared as much as 77% since 11:04 a.m. Hong Kong time, according from data from cryptocurrency tracker CoinGecko. Over the last 24 hours, it's up 42% to 1.129497 cents. Now, that doesn't mean that the surge is not significant, and that the market capitalization of Dogecoin currently sits at about 1.4 billion, number 33 among cryptocurrencies. But back to the bigger story here of GameStop and Reddit and the manipulation of the market now by small traders banding together to take on big traders by buying stocks, not buying crypto, not buying gold and silver, not opting out of the system. I'm a little torn about my feelings about this story, and that, yeah, people coming together on Reddit and gamers uniting, and the power of the potential to come together on forums like Reddit and so many other great places. This is awesome. And in some ways, they can measure the scores, and they can say that some of these major hedge funds that were shorting these companies. And by the way, to buy a short, it's one of these sort of fancy financial derivatives where you're basically betting on a company's value to go down. And so I look at it like GameStop. Really? Retail? Really? Video? A digital service? Do people still buy like physical? I mean, I remember NES. You got to go get that cartridge and blow on it and stick it into the machine. I'm pretty sure that's not how most games work anymore. Downloads, high-speed internet, and shipping by Amazon or whatever. Like, really? GameStop? I got nothing against them, but it sounds like maybe it should go the way of Radio Shack. And maybe all these Redditors, who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if there was a counter story here where someone was going, hey, how do we trick lots of small investors into putting a lot of money into failing stocks? Let's infiltrate Reddit and make it seem like it's their trend that they get to control that's going to screw over us institutional investors. And we'll even make a real loss. We'll lose billions of dollars covering these shorts as these stocks go up, and we lose our bets. But if we convince millions of small investors to invest in the stock market that is the casino which we control, where the house always wins, instead of them taking their money to sustainable, long-term, safe investments that won't get destroyed by the next stock market crash. You thought you were clever, Redditors. No. Who are you giving money to? Looks like you're just another group of suckers. All right. I hope that holds true. I mean, the longer term investment strategy of not investing in stuff that other people can control, destroy, manipulate without you having any say in it. Yeah, let's get away from that. I'm not an investment advisor, but in terms of being able to look at the world and see what's safe, what works, and what doesn't, giving your money to Wall Street in order to stick it to Wall Street, yeah, pretty sure that's a losing strategy. Daily Beast has this headline: the Sinaloa cartel is setting up front operations to hijack Mexico's new legal pot market. You mean they're doing stuff that legal businesses do under the current system of corporatism? Shocking. Cartel farmers tell the Daily Beast they're importing stronger, more lucrative strains of marijuana to sell in the legal market and maximize profits through front operations. Again, with the propaganda marijuana, like I used to use it until I learned better, and I do what I can now to call it cannabis or weed or pot for short, because at least those are friendly nicknames. Marijuana is the racist term that was used to demonize this as something that was something only Mexicans did and made Negroes want to have sex with white women. We can't have that marijuana. No. But yeah, this is, I just point this out as another developing trend in the middle of the end of the war on drugs that we get to enjoy right now. And the fact that there still is this stream of cannabis demonizing stories still in the mainstream. Okay, a couple notes from our producers club. Brad Brown, whose birthday it is today, said, I couldn't finish signing up for Robinhood. They've frozen people from buying. Yeah, so did you guys miss this? Small investors into the stock market, the whole point of you investing is so that you can lose your money, so that people on Wall Street can make it. How dare you think it's anything other than that? How dare you try to change that part of the system, challenge that? All right, fun little non-lethal weapon story here. I'm excited to share OregonLive.com. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler pepper sprays unmasked man who confronted him with video camera. Good tactic, bad excuse. Now, at least he didn't shoot him. He didn't have cops arrest him and take him away. I carry pepper spray. I'm a big fan of non-lethal self-defense. If you're going to carry a firearm, you really owe it to yourself. I think it's irresponsible to carry a firearm in a public setting for self-defense and not also have some non-lethal means of escalating force before going to deadly force. And that in a lot of situations, pepper spray is entirely effective disabling someone. All right, I'll stop my rant. Really, it's important though. I've got, look at my old video, Adam versus the pepper spray and the taser. They haven't taken that off YouTube yet. So in this story, the Portland mayor was being approached by a man with a video camera. And of course, yeah, politician in public, you're going to get videotaped. You should be able to answer questions and handle that. Now, I don't know, how much did this guy get in his face, in his personal space without a mask? Was he justified in it? Was there appropriate escalation? Possibly. I don't want to condemn the Portland mayor on this. There are plenty of other things he's worth condemning for. But I think we should have more stories like this. And they don't go reported because they're not sensationalist. But imagine the headline: shooting avoided because responsible woman had pepper spray in her purse. Not really as good of a headline as woman defends herself with gun, shoots armed attacker. Okay, even those stories get buried. But I wish we had more data on this, and I'd like to see more justification and more people getting behind the positive use of non-lethal defense. All right. So gay Hitler, this is from Daily Beast. Yeah, they start their headline with gay Hitler. Texas lawmaker Kyle Biederman introduces bill aimed at seceding from the Union. The bill is tied to the Texas nationalist movement that's made trips to Moscow, received a small grant from the Kremlin, and funding from the anti-globalist movement of Russia. You go, whoa, this is a lot of bullshit demonizing propaganda all in one headline and subheader from the Daily Beast. What? Gay Hitler. They start with calling the guy gay Hitler. Now, what's funny is that this is the Daily Beast. You're attacking someone for being gay? Is that a reason to discredit someone because he's gay? Because he's gay Hitler? I don't even know what this is about, really. I don't know the backstory, but they're talking about secession. Like how America got here, and they're trying to demonize it with things like gay Hitler, ties to nationalist movement, trips to Moscow, small grant from the Kremlin. You remember the American founders got foreign aid from France, right? There's a great American tradition and really global tradition in this human family of that. When one group of people is oppressed and needs help overthrowing their oppressors, their neighbors can step in to help. That's a good thing. For months, far-right voices like Rush Limbaugh And Texas GOP head Alan West have floated secession as a potential means of escaping Democratic control in Washington. This week, that chatter transformed into something concrete and nearly unprecedented. In Austin, Republican Kyle Biederman of the Texas House of Representatives, previously best known for dressing up as gay Hitler, became the first American legislator in nearly a century and only the second since the Civil War to file a formal bill calling for state-level secession from the United States. Dubbed the Texas Independence Referendum Act, his bill would allow Texans to vote this November on a referendum on the question of whether this state should leave the U.S. and establish an independent republic. All right, enough of that fun stuff. But we go to California next. A couple of related stories here. And I am actually, I haven't gotten into this email that I just got, but I did get an email yesterday from our good friend, former guest, Marcus Ruiz Evans, who is with California, Yes California, the Cal Exit campaign. And apparently I have been formally invited to join the Yes California Board of Directors, as a former California resident and champion of California nationalism. It's very exciting to be included in this effort, but more importantly, to see that these things are stepping up and accelerating, and decentralization, as I've always said, is the future. You know what? I'm going to have to make an executive decision here. We've had so much fun and so many big topics with this episode today, and we're an hour and 36 minutes in. We are going to table our big international block. I'm going to do one more on California, but before we do, I got a block on California. So before we do that, let's get Mercedes. Dan Rutowski from Nebraska back up on stage here. Comment Mercedes this morning, checking in with the audience, and Cora and Barking Dogs, and hey Mercedes. Okay.
I don't think Mercedes is listening. She's not listening.
Okay, I got Mercedes.
And now her mic is muted.
In any of that time since
I can't hear Adam clearly, so I'm only half listening and paying attention to the comments while I'm on YouTube, like listening.
Audio's okay for everybody else, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
only me. I've been on like 3 different technical thingies to see if it would stop, and it's you and me. CJ's fine for me, but you're just an alien today. I'm sorry.
Well, hit us with some comments, Mercedes.
Oh, too much mudslinging in one headline. They threw the kitchen sink at them too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and I was popping comments up along with you too, but they kind of like started trickling in, like as we were talking about the Bitcoin and stuff, and then everything else that's just kind of. But like this one is, legally you got to say this isn't financial advice. Legally, he's not wrong. My financial advice is.
That's not financial advice either.
Yeah, should have gotten into Bitcoin last week because Bitcoin's up a lot today. I've made $22 today. It's what I lost over the last 2 weeks because I'm a little baby investor, but it's back. And then Peter also says, when we follow a carrot, we get caught like the rabbit. Peter's a very wise man. I like Peter.
Yeah, sexy zombie killer says like child labor produced Disney swag, and GameStop
This
is
is only a test of the Adam versus the Man emergency broadcast system. This is only a test. Remain calm and keep paying attention.
Yeah, I guess Kraken stopped trading as well. I don't know what Kraken is, but yeah, Kraken, Robinhood pulled those stocks out. You can still trade it on Coin or what's it called? Cash App. Honey, I know you want my full undivided attention, but I'm trying to save the world for you.
Poor people figured out how to make money in our system too. Well, then shut it down. It's not working.
No. Hold on.
Exactly, Cora. No.
Exactly.
This is why we need to just have world peace, so that I don't have to be on the internet with a screaming child talking
It's
about
almost like she's protesting her government right now.
Oh, this little anarchist. So technically, she's like a 3rd generation anarchist because my mom's an anarchist and she's a lawyer now, attorney at law. So she's not an anarchist. She's an authoritarian. Okay, what would you like?
If
If you want that, go get it. See, she's a Democrat already. I can't. I'm sorry.
Our top super chat for the day is $10. Let's see if anybody can beat that in the next 20 minutes as we launch our international segment by going first from the Garden of Freedom into the United States, Arizona territory. But then we cross another border to go into what seems like a foreign land, soon to be its own country, the Great Republic of California, sixth largest economy in the world when independently analyzed from the economy of the United States. And I am truly honored to have been invited by the team at Yes California and Marcus Ruiz Evans to be a part of the board of directors of the Cal Exit organization, the Yes California, technically it's the Yes California organization, fighting for independence for California. Perhaps not as motivated with a Biden administration as Texas might be right now, but there is so much momentum and there's so many smart people in California who go, is Biden really going to be that much better for us than Trump was? Or can we be better off alone? Can we be California for Californians? You know, and if that happened and California doesn't fall into the ocean, I might actually move. And you're thinking, well, Adam, isn't Arizona a lot more libertarian? Well, yes and no, but more importantly, I live in Gardenia, and Gardenia has absolute freedom here. We have a total adherence to the non-aggression principle, and we might move Gardenia, we might relocate, because if California secedes from the United States, what's stopping me from buying some beachfront property and then seceding from California? Are they really going to say, well, we just did this, but we did it and you can't? I don't know. This is why I think we are on the verge of a global revolution of decentralization. In the age of the internet, there's no reason that we have to be part of these bigger government classes of victims known as citizens of whatever government we happen to live under. We can get out from under those governments. We can declare independence. Again, this is, how America got here. If you love America, you must love declaring independence, which is what California is getting ready to do. All right, we have a new winner, $15 new leader, $15 super chat from JB Gunner TV. Hashtag freedom. I've appreciated work for a decade, bro. Glad to see you're still pushing. Thank you so much. And just back to the story with that, pushing for independence, pushing for decentralization, I think now is the most effective strategy for achieving freedom. Because if you, again, it's Mark Victor, like our guest yesterday said about live and let live. Like, I don't have a problem with big government. I don't have a problem with big countries. I have a problem with coercive government. I have a problem with violent government. I have a problem with government that is set up to commit fraud and rip you off. And I'm against any government that is so coercive that it denies you your right to be independent from it. If your right to secede is not respected, you're some kind of political prisoner, as most humans on earth are today, and we can escape this. So let's look at this case of the Great Republic of California and how they're dealing with COVID, the virus which shall not be named, and how that's affecting independence sentiment in California. First headline from The Guardian, have we learned nothing? California faces backlash for lifting stay-at-home order. Yeah, move comes as COVID surges push local healthcare systems to brink of collapse, and funeral industry faces horrifying backlog. Correction here, because we know that this language is dishonest. The COVID surge has not pushed local healthcare systems to the brink of collapse. Government shutdowns, lockdowns, restrictions on that healthcare system being able to adapt to new threats and new demands, that's what's got it on the brink of collapse. The funeral industry facing horrifying backlog. Well, look at the actual overall death rate. How much of that is slowed down because of the COVID restrictions? And then how many of those bodies are products of suicide and overdose as a result of these lockdowns? So California, now this was from Tuesday. California eases lockdowns as U.S. COVID-19 crisis ebbs. California eased strict COVID-19 stay-at-home orders on Monday, allowing restaurants to reopen for outdoor dining and greater social mixing as public health authorities reported slower infection rates and hospitalizations. I guess at some point they just run out of suckers to test with the one that gives results of false positive, right? But this idea that we're things are under control now, it's all political manipulation, just as it was from the beginning. The announcement marked the most tangible sign yet that California, which emerged in recent months as a leading hotspot, has moved beyond the worst days of a crisis that pushed much of its healthcare system to a breaking point. Again, so much propaganda, so many things that need to be addressed and deconstructed. It's unending. I try to avoid this. I hope people appreciate that on Adam versus the Man, we don't have the ticker across the bottom of the screen going 4,000 died today, 3,000 died today, 5,500 died. No. What do we put on the screen? Put the suicide prevention hotline, because we actually care about your health, not scaring you into watching this program. So Politico had this story going back to January 11th. It's all fallen apart. Newsom scrambles to save California and his career. The Democrat leading the nation's biggest state is facing a raging pandemic, vaccine distribution problems, and a nascent recall drive. Oh, that's right. Now, remember, Gray Davis, just not that long ago, just a couple decades within my lifetime, this is how we got the governor in California. Mr. Schwarzenegger was only possible because, not himself existing, Governor Schwarzenegger was only possible because of the recall of Gray Davis. So this story, California is running so low on oxygen that officials are telling emergency crews to conserve supplies. When I first read that sentence, I thought that was like some fancy Hollywood cool LA man. We're so low on oxygen. It's just, I can't breathe. No, they're like literally running low on oxygen as a medical supply. Ambulances in LA are backed up outside emergency rooms, sometimes for hours, and the virus vaccine distribution remains so disjointed that a freezer failure that forced immediate inoculations of hundreds in Northern California inmates, older people, and some people on the street was hailed as an improvement. Yeah. Backstory on that. Yeah, there was a freezer failure, and they said, oh shit, these vaccines, they had like 500 doses or something. They're all going to go bad in 12 hours. Let's inject people in a hurry. Like, it wasn't bad enough. This is a vaccine that was rushed to market. Now we've got some, it's going bad. It's spoiling quick. Put it in your body. Yeah. And it was an improvement in terms of getting them out there quickly. Californians are frustrated, tired, and sick. And in the midst of the unfolding catastrophe, Governor Gavin Newsom confronting a burgeoning recall effort on top of a year of wildfires and civil unrest is under siege. By the way, wildfires, when someone who used to be an Antifa activist throws a firebomb somewhere like a Molotov cocktail and it starts a forest fire, I don't know if I would call that a wildfire, except in the sense that it goes wild. But yeah, there have been a lot of those instances that we've seen. Remember, we covered the story last year. More in Oregon, where Antifa is a little stronger, but also in Northern California. It's not that there weren't some realistic possibilities of natural wildfires occurring, but not only were there actual acts of starting fires for deliberate political purposes, but we also saw the ridiculous inadequacy of the whole government system of forest management and wildfire management. It is sad, and man, people have died and lost their homes because they trusted government. Because government said, oh yeah, you can build a house here, Mr. Developer, and you can sell it to the bank, and the bank can finance it and make wage slaves out of all these people. And oh yes, we'll tell them that they're safe because government is here looking out for them, and there's no chance of a fire risk because there's a local fire department in California, whatever, has helicopters and that. And no, people died, people lost their homes. And it was a huge tragedy earlier this year to see that whole rash of fires burning through California. So Governor Newsom has got people really pissed off. And I think he's, by the way, Newsom, what is he, a nephew of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the Queen Democrat? For Newsom, an ambitious Democrat with a national profile, the extent of the problem is unclear. The last Republican to win a gubernatorial election in California was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that was nearly 15 years ago. Excuse me on the timing earlier. When Newsom won the governorship in 2018, he carried the state by nearly 24 points. And that's because, well, gee, if you have a Democrat against a Republican in a heavy Democrat state, that's what's going to happen, because the real political contest in this messed up system is the Democrat primary. And in the case of Schwarzenegger, it was a huge open primary in a special election following the recall from 15 years ago. So where does this go now? And how do I analyze this from Newsom's perspective, understanding what he's trying to do? I mean, he's a politician. He's a political front man. He wants to look good. He wants to smell good. He wants to, get national headlines. If anything, Newsom has got to be extremely jealous of Cuomo and all the glory hounds in New York City who are on TV every day looking good. Oh my gosh, they should run for president. That's Newsom's sick fantasy. How does he get to that point? But he can't even manage his state well enough to be able to give announcements without being just ridiculed at every turn. When he was standing in front of that burned out part of the landscape with houses burned down, there was a burned out car behind him. It's a great prop, isn't it? Even then, people go, wow, you're standing amid smoking rubbles in ruin, and you're the governor of the state. Pretty sure it's at least kind of your fault. And so what's happening now doesn't look good for Newsom. According to Vox.com, some Silicon Valley donors, next political fight, ? Trying to oust California's governor. Tech money could turn a chaotic recall attempt into a real threat to Gavin Newsom. What that's saying is that if there wasn't major money behind a recall effort like this, it would be tilting at windmills. But now that serious power players are in on this, we see a legitimate power struggle. Some major Silicon Valley donors are mobilizing behind a plan to recall California Governor Gavin Newsom, using their money to turn what was a chaotic attempt into a looming political threat to Newsom's career. In recent weeks, leading tech figures have started flexing their political muscle by funding Rescue California, a group financing the effort to collect enough signatures to force a recall vote later this year. The stature of Newsom, once a mayor of San Francisco and a favorite of the tech industry, has fallen in the eyes of some as California's vaccine rollout has lagged the rest of the nation, and the recall appears increasingly likely to at least qualify for the ballot, though Newsom's opponents aren't yet known. So there's a lot more to this immediate story in terms of how the recall of Newsom plays out. Things are still volatile, very up in the air with COVID, the vaccine, public sentiment around all of this. And I wouldn't put it past Governor Newsom to find a way to give every Californian another check or save a puppy from a burning building. It's Hollywood. Why not? You have a made for the movies governor in California, better than Schwarzenegger. I mean, he's more respected and better looking and well spoken and knows how to pronounce the name of the state which he governs. So he's got that going for him. But first, the recall has to get enough signatures to get on the ballot, and then it has to pass. And in order for that to happen, the California voters have to have confidence in there being a better alternative. Well, when leading tech figures get involved, I'm inclined to think that they're going to be looking a little bit beyond recalling just their current governor. And I would hope that if these leading tech figures, major Silicon Valley donors, are mobilizing at this level of political activism, putting money behind recalling California Governor Gavin Newsom, I would hope that as they try to rescue California from Newsom, they might then next turn their attention to the bigger task at hand of rescuing California from the federal government. And that's why I'm so excited to announce today my intent to accept this invitation to be a part of the Yes California Cal Exit campaign and to serve on its board of directors. And I encourage everybody to be a part of this effort, to check this out, to support Yes California. This is a very important effort. It is one that is not just oh, let's do this for California so they can fall off into the ocean. We're not going to miss them out here. But this is something a lot bigger, not just for America, but really for humanity. This is an opportunity for a huge secession level of, Brexit was like, we stepped into the EU, we're stepping out of the EU. The Scottish independence vote, we stepped into the UK, out of the UK. But California going independent would be so much more significant and would not only pave the way for so much more, but it would inspire the world to overthrow tyrannies everywhere, to assert freedom in the right to secede. And again, there are some California nationalists out there saying, oh no, California should secede and stay California because the federal government can't force us into being part of their racket. No. Well, guess what? Then I'm going to move from Arizona to California, buy some beachfront property and secede there myself. This might be the thread we pull that unravels the entire sweater of coercive, violent, exploitive governments all over the world. So I encourage you, check out yescalifornia.org and be a part of the solution for California independence and freedom for the world. With that, we've got just a few minutes left in the show. Let's get Mercedes Damertowski back up here. Our leading super chat stands at $15 right now. We have any other ambitious audience members who want to buy their way into the Producers Club at the last minute? I'll do this promo real quick because this is so much fun. I'm actually on Telegram right now. Now that Telegram is under fire as being a way that extremists communicate, I'm actually really excited to have. So I've mentioned Telegram pretty much on every single show that we've done this last year about how awesome it's been for our Producers Club. And now we have the Adam versus the Man Telegram channel, the broadcast channel. So check it out. You can look at this. CJ got a link. It's so easy to remember. t.me/Adam versus the Man. That's it. You can find us on Telegram through that channel. I guess I don't know exactly how channels work, which is why I'm so excited to have producer CJ, our intrepid executive producer from Meth Dakota, handling this as his project. But you've got this link. You can share. You can post it around social media. You can say, "Hey, Facebook, you know what? If you're watching this, and we're broadcasting on Facebook still, right? Somewhere, whatever, and Periscope, Twitter. Tell people like, hey." Before Facebook shuts down Dissent entirely or censors Adam out of existence, because I've been censored on Facebook even with IVAW, we were censored on Facebook because I was trying to say anti-war stuff back then. So hey, let people know. Hey, before Adam gets shut off of every other part of the internet, find us on Telegram. Help us build this new channel. So, let's see. All right. Mercedes and Peter are debating. Just to see. Peter had a comment here in the Producers Club we're sharing. When we get to the point in time where having to wear body armor and protective gear to protest, we have reached a point where we either do not participate, which would be against all we stand for, or be forced to release our grip on the non-aggression principle. That's not what it means. The unfortunate part here is that what makes us different than NAP. How can we? It's exactly that what separates us as libertarians is not just belief in ethics, not just adherence to ethics and living it and practicing. I guess that's the important thing, but also taking the time to understand it. And then those other things become a lot more meaningful. And so I believe in ethics. I don't know what it means, but I believe in it. No, you have to know what that means. It's the non-aggression principle. How can we attend these gatherings any longer without the need to place the nap on the shelf, or do we stand proudly within it and take the chance of bodily harm? Well, Peter, Gandhi showed us the way. Gandhi got the British out of India without firing a shot. I think we can keep the feds out of Gardenia. Mercedes says you go prepared and let them hit first, then you meet force with force and de-escalate. Well, see, this is assuming that do we give this up, that we don't protest, do not participate? Well, protesting in person was never essential or critical to making real social change happen. So if the governments of the world have decided that protesting is illegal, you show up at a protest or try to organize one, you get shot, the answer is not body armor. The answer is find another way of subverting the state that's more effective.
See, when we protested, and that's why I responded the way I did to Peter, is if you're afraid that somebody's going to shoot at you, then you go prepared. You go prepared to meet force with force, and then you de-escalate. Because if your goal is peace, that means that you're going to be in control of the situation, because you are then by default the victim. If you're not going to fight back against somebody who's going to fight against you, and that person's not the government, because we're all victim to the government. But say, like our protest when I was there, I wore my gun because to protect your First Amendment right. You support your Second Amendment right, because people are less likely to come up and bully you if they see a gun on your hip, or it attracts more attention.
I think you're contradicting yourself when you say we're going to show up to a protest that's going to escalate things, and then when the other side is preemptive or aggressive, then we're going to de-escalate.
Well, no. If I'm gonna show up and people are gonna be there with weapons and full body armor, and I have the same body armor because I'm afraid, then I'm gonna go and meet them where they are and talk to them about why they're there in body armor. Because
then don't go there. Don't go there. This is my point. Okay, look, two things. One, this is an escalation. It's unnecessary, and a protest is inherently an escalation. A protest, by definition, is a confrontation. We are protesting something someone else is doing. Now, it may already be defensive. You may, like, if you are going to protest cops who murder people, and while you're protesting, they start murdering people, fucking shoot back. No shit, right? But you're already doing something defensive and escalation that's righteous and reactionary when you protest. But what I'm saying in the strategic portion here is there is always going to be an alternative, and it might be more effective. Instead of putting on body armor and going to talk to a cop who's wearing body armor and yelling at each other while there's all this noise and people yelling and crazy vulnerabilities of crowds where people get hurt and crowds are let off cliffs, why not go to that police officer at his home? If everybody who's ever yelled at a cop at a protest, instead of that, took the time to go to your local police department. I know that might sound scary, and I'm not saying that shouldn't be scary. If you say, I have an issue with the local police, I'd like to talk to somebody. Can I talk to a supervisor? Can I just talk to someone at the front desk? I want to raise this issue, and I would like you to change your policy. That's going to be more effective. Go to a city council meeting. Get elected to city council. Have a petition. Those things are more effective in de-escalating and addressing problems of aggression than putting on body armor to yell at cops who are wearing body armor.
That's what I mean, Adam, is when I protested, we didn't have body armor. I showed up with my gun the first day because I knew others were going to have their guns, and I needed to be there so that they could see, hey, we're not here to fight. You don't need your guns. Because I showed up with it in my holster. I took it out of my holster because I wasn't there to wear my gun and protest. I was there to be peaceful, but people need to know in the event of an emergency, I was armed. I am able to take care of my flock when people are trying to hurt it. But because we protested without guns and without body armor, and we're the victim because the government pissed us off enough to go out and stand on a corner during a pandemic with signs, they listened to us. Our city council listened to me. My city council still listens to me, kind of, because I'm only one person in town. Yes, you dropped your brandy. I'm sorry. She's playing with a bottle of brandy while she's breastfeeding, because you don't give your babies liquor. You just let them play with the bottles. But so our city council, because of the way we protested and because we didn't show up in body armor and because we weren't there to fight, we were there to talk and be listened to. They listened to us. They talked to us. They changed things. They told us they were going to keep doing what they were doing because that's how you make change. Throwing a giant temper tantrum with your AR and body armor because you're pissed off and you want to fight isn't going to do anything. It's only going to make them abuse you because they see you as a threat. And once the U.S. government sees you as a threat or a liability, they do everything in their power to silence you any way possible.
I appreciate your perspective here, Mercedes. Now that we're a little over time, let's check in with the audience. Do we have any last minute super chats? Our super chat leader for the day is $15.
Yep, that $15 super chat's the last super chat we got. I appreciate it. We did have a troll in the comments. It wasn't very amazing though. He just said we're stupid, but he's the one trolling us and watching us. So what does that begin?
I like troll comments, but they got to be good troll comments. Oh, And that's a sign that today's Adam versus the Man episode is effectively over. Mercedes, you want to do some promos?
What am I doing? I can't hear anything. I had a toddler singing to that song that was playing. So
I guess we don't have any great wisdom winners from the comment section today. So $15. Congratulations. You just bought your way into the Adam versus the Man Producers Club. Thank you. Purple hair don't care. Hi, Cora. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to go to adamversustheman.com. Check out Patreon from there. Find the Telegram channel. I hope by the end of the day, CJ's got a big button on there to join the Adam versus the Man Telegram broadcast channel. We've got the store at adamversustheman.com, and of course, our affiliate partner, cigarfederation.com, where promo code ADAM10 gets you 10% off. And the good news. Good news on this day in history, real quick. No, wait, wrong tab. What do we have? Man, I've got wait, where is it? Where's my good news? I want my good news. We've got, oh my gosh, we've got so many headlines here. Here it is, goodnewsnetwork.org. The events for this day in history, January 28th. It's not loading. Screw it. We'll get to the good news tomorrow. Oh, wait, no, here it is. Here it is. Happy 85th birthday to Alan Alda. Not most significant good news, but yes, happy birthday to Alan Alda. On this day in 1573, the Warsaw Confederation sanctioned religious freedom in Poland. Oh, yeah. On this day in 1887, the world's largest snowflake fell in Fort Keogh, Montana. And it was snowflakes, they were reported to be 15 inches wide. I didn't know that was a thing. That's pretty cool. Iceland was the first country to legalize abortion in 1935 on this day. And on this day in 1982, the year I was born, Italian police rescued a U.S. general after 42 days as a hostage of the Red Brigade. And it was on this day, and CJ, I hope you can look this up to play us out. Although, I don't know, copyright strikes. We're just going to have to sing it. Let's get everybody who's backstage on screen for a second, because it was on this day 36 years ago, a group of American performers recorded the charity song "We Are the World" to raise money for famine relief in Africa. That was a joke. We're not going to subject you to our singing. Thanks so much for tuning in to Adam versus the Man today. Mwah, peace and love, y'all. Choose happiness and be excellent to each other.